Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Heroic Efforts. Thank you all for joining us once again. We have a special double-sized episode for you that still feels a little light, which is apropos for the movies that we're talking about today. As you can see by the title, we are in Fantastic Four season. Superman has already been released by the time you're listening to this, and now we're looking straight at the next MCU movie. So to do that, we have to go back to the last 20 years of Fantastic Four films, and I could not do that without Mr. Martin Fisher.
Hello, hello. If I sound very quiet, it's because these movies put me to sleep. I'm recording this from an undisclosed location deep in the mines.
And Mr. Nick Talamante.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I wish we were talking about a more fantastic set of movies, but alas, here we are, and they're pretty mid, but, we'll get into it.
Yeah, no, definitely an unremarkable pair of films, but looking at this era as a whole, you definitely see, like, a good chunk of, like, what Fox was at this time. Yeah. And also, the Fantastic Four finally looks like they're getting a movie that reflects the comics in any way, shape, or form. So we gotta talk about how we got here and how they fucked this up. Like 3 times in like 4 times, yeah. The Corman version's fun, but like how they never actually got it right. So we need to contextualize just a little bit because we've gone over this era before on this show, but just to say, we are not going to be talking about the plots of these movies that much, just as a forward for you guys, because there aren't really plots to these movies, and also we are talking about them in tandem. We're just going to be going back and forth between movies as far as what we're talking about, because any criticism or compliment I have for these applies to both movies. They are the exact same movie. They just, like, there's people out there who are like, oh, Rise of the Silver Surfer is way better than the first one. I'm like, they're exactly the same.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. In fact, I think it's far worse than the first one, so.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting, because I don't know if I would agree with that.
That'll be interesting conversation.
But, so, the first film was released in 2005, and this is the era of Raimi's Spider-Man, Fox's X-Men, Wesley Snipes' Blade, Ang Lee's Hulk, Ben Affleck's Daredevil, and Thomas Jane's Punisher, which,
movies.
If this is your first... Yes, if this is the first time listening to the show, you know that those are all Heroic Efforts certified bangers.
Totally.
Then, in 2007, it was released in the same year as both Spider-Man 3 and the first Ghost Rider. Again, certified Heroic Efforts bangers. I think what is important to talk about with these movies that I find fascinating is that they kind of feel... First off, they're huge budget studio movies. Yeah. Gigantic budget movies. They're big blockbuster movies. But they somehow feel like direct-to-video rip-offs of the X-Men movies as far as like aesthetic and tone. Mm-hmm. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I would 100%
Absolutely.
agree with that. I think it's a desperate attempt to try and emulate like the X-Men world, but tonally completely missing it because it doesn't really equate to Fantastic Four at all. And visually, these look a lot like if you played these movies next to X-Men 3, I'd be like, yeah, these are the same exact studio. This has to be. It's like a factory-made look, practically.
Yeah. This film lacks. We'll get into it, but like it truly lacks like sauce. You know what I mean? And to be fair, I don't think they're terrible. I don't think they're dog shit. Like just upon these like rewatches, I was like, these are perfectly serviceable movies. You know what I mean? It still has a little bit of that early 2000s, superhero shit like charm. You know what I mean? So like it has aspects of it that I enjoy, but much to Marty's point, it's so weirdly derivative of like the X-Men films that Fox is putting out. Like it's really hard to shake it because it's like almost uncanny valley. Like I'm watching these and the whole time I'm like, if I was watching X-Men, I can get immersed in that world, and it like has this very specific kind of look and vibe to it, and it's like, but it feels like a real movie. You know what I mean? Like you're in there. This feels off. It feels like I'm looking at it and it doesn't quite hit the mark, and like something in my brain is telling me like this isn't real. This is they're trying to fool you. You know what I mean? Like there's just something about it that throws me off.
It's ironic. It's really funny that in the first movie there's a deleted scene that is practically that on screen, and that is when Owen Grufford turns his face to look like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and turns it back. And
Oh my God.
yeah, it's like that's exactly what they're doing. They're just trying to be their X-Men movies.
I just thought of this comparison right now, but you know how in the Looney Tunes movies, the Roadrunner will paint a fake tunnel, and then the Wile E. Coyote will run straight into it? That's what these movies feel like, where it feels like the world of this movie stops at whatever is directly behind the actors. It looks like if like that part in Shawshank where he goes up to the Farrah Fawcett poster and he puts his finger in and it just goes like through and he rips the poster off. That's kind of what it looks like. You could just go up and just like knock the background over and you would just see the studio set behind it.
That's what it is. That you nailed it, because there's certain scenes where like the background and everything, because it's like Marty said, this is a big budget film. Like there's money behind this, but it feels weirdly cheap. And I think that's where this disconnect, where this dissonance comes in, because like you just said, Andy, the world stops like immediately outside the frame. So like I'm looking at these sets and I'm like, it's fine, it's passable, it's like serviceable, you know, but then like you just feel like it's just weirdly cheap. Like if you like turn the camera just 1 degree to like the left, you'd be like everything falls apart. You see all the fucking stands for the sets and everything like that. Like it just doesn't feel like they built a world.
That's not to knock the production designer either. It's a good looking set and stuff, but it has more to do with the tone and the script and the way that these characters are interacting with the world around them, where I don't think anybody touches any props in these movies. Does that make sense? Like nobody, like the closest we get is like Chris Evans heating up popcorn with his hand, you know?
Yeah, I would agree for like for that point, and also like the destruction, you know what I mean? Like when the thing is like flinging people around. But outside of that, everything is a little too neat.
Yeah.
And I think that's both in the choice of their antagonists, where both cases I'm just like, it's too clean. We needed a mole man in these movies. Like we needed more than just Doom or Galactus and Silver Surfer, because this movie needed more goons. Both movies need more goons, in my opinion.
Oh, it's a terrible lack of goons in this.
Yeah, there's no gooning going on in either of these movies. Absolutely not.
Jessica Alba's in it, so I don't know about that.
You know what? Now that I fucking think about it, dude, there really is no goons. Like, there's no side villains. They actually don't fight anybody that's not named Victor Von Doom or the Silver Surfer.
Yep. Yeah,
there is
really weird.
In the first one, especially, there is the rescue on the bridge, which pretty great. That's a pretty great scene.
Yep.
But then they don't fight anybody until the ending when Doctor Doom goes crazy.
Yep.
It's really weird that it feels almost like a early 2000s sitcom.
Yeah, totally. A lot and the way it's shot, the way the world looks, the way, again, if I feel like I turn the camera a little bit to the right, I'm going to see the edge of the set. It never feels like a fully lived-in world. It never feels alive. And a big part of that is that for a superhero movie, a duology, there's very little action in either of them. And in the first film especially, you feel it, because it's like Andy mentioned, it's like you get the bridge sequence, but they're not fighting anybody. It's a great sequence, but that's it. They don't throw a punch against a villain until the very end of the movie. And a great way you could have gotten around that is like just have them fight some doofus, you know, take one of their lamer looking villains like Diablo or whatever, and just throw them in there as like a goon character for them to fight, just something to spice it up. And so and that way, so a majority of the conflict isn't just on like interpersonal squibbling and squabbling through the whole movie.
There is so little action in that first movie that they have to throw in extreme biking in the middle of the second act just to get like any kind of movement on the screen whatsoever. Yeah, and it's not like this is like high drama or anything like that. It's not a movie where you're sitting there watching these characters unfold and struggle with their abilities. We wouldn't get that until the Trank version. But but this is more this is more of just a movie where you're really just expecting a character to go bazinga like at any moment.
All the supporting characters are pretty much that anyway in both movies.
You know, Alicia Masters is pretty great though.
Yeah,
Alicia Masters is pretty good. Also Hamish Linklater. in the first one.
Oh my god, that's right. Yeah, it's Doom's little sidekick guy, the guy that like feels like
Oh yeah,
he
he's
should be
Is the
he's
more.
doctor.
Yeah,
he's great. Shout out to Kerry Washington though. She was great
she's
as
great in the
Alicia.
movies. Yeah, she's great in both. I wish it's funny because like I don't know if you guys have ever seen the extended cut of the first movie.
No.
Fun fact: there's an extended cut that's like 20 minutes longer.
I have it on DVD.
It's all just drama. It's all just character drama. But I will give
Okay.
it this: it has a lot more of her scenes in the first one. It puts her in a lot more of the movie and a lot more of her relationship with Ben. Like, they
Oh
go
really?
out on a date to
Okay.
like look, like because she's like an artist, I believe, also in the movie, and she like takes him to like her art exhibit, and she made like a sculpture of Ben as the rock guy, like as she sees him. It's a really sweet moment, and I'm like, wow, I wish this was in the version everybody could see because it's a great sequence. Now I don't know if that would make hunting this down for like $100 or however much it might cost now worth it, but it's a much better film, and it's like the Green Lantern effect, where it's like the extended cut doesn't change the movie quality, but it does add things where I'm like, this is important just for basic movie purposes. You know, how you establish character
Yeah.
relationships.
Damn.
Yes, and I paid $2.99 for my disc.
Great.
at
It might just be that worth it.
Community
Honestly, it
Thrift.
might still be worth it. That's how much I paid back in the day, so.
Say this,
Yeah.
brother. What I'm hearing right now, based on that scene that they cut out, and I'm gonna get into this as the episode goes along. There's a lot of Yakubian technology happening in this film. There's a lot of the White Devil in this film, and I'll explain that later. But that's just
Tim's
a prime
Story,
example.
the real White Devil, Tim's Story.
They didn't want to have a good sister, the best character in this film. They didn't want to have her have more screen time. I know the game. I know the game.
Well, instead of talking about the plots for these movies, I think it would probably be more beneficial if we went cast member by cast member,
Yes.
because I think that's where we're really going to find the meat of if this works or not.
Very
But I really would before we talk about individual cast members, let's just talk about the cast as a whole, because right now we're seeing a ton of nostalgia for this duology on Twitter and stuff, because of course the new movie's coming out, and you have all the nostalgia bots that are going to be like, oh, they'll never top this one, you know. And it's like a picture of Chris Evans shirtless with like the steam coming off him, and they're like, ooh, never going to top this one. And I'm like, I get you were like 7 when this movie came out, but it's not a super high bar. And I say this as someone who defends a lot of these, like the whole premise of this show is going back and enjoying. Yeah, like less than loved movies.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I think it's on the forefront of the cultural zeitgeist. In addition to First Steps that's coming out, we also had recently, obviously Deadpool and Wolverine. They brought back all the Foxverse, but in particular, Chris Evans had a pretty memorable cameo in that. So I think that's especially why people are like, remembering these films, because for a long time, I think it's pretty dormant. No one is really popping off about that until like the last couple years. This has always just kind of been, background radiation basically as a film. Like people like remember that. They probably remember Chris Evans. I didn't think definitely remember Michael Chiklis is the thing, like the prosthetics on that, and then they remember Jessica Alba being naked multiple times. Like I think
copies of these movies were burning holes in the Walmart bins for years and years and years.
exactly.
Yes, that's the thing, is I don't think people quite remember either. These 2 movies were everywhere at the time, because I think Fox probably saw this as their Raimi Spider-Man.
Oh, definitely. Especially
as their
because they
Spider-Man.
try so hard to like have those Raimi moments in their movies.
Yeah.
It's so kid-friendly, whereas say what you will about the original X-Men movies. They're great, but say what you will about the original X-Men movies, those aren't exactly something that are gonna like thrill kids.
Yes. They are so kid-friendly to the point where the second movie is rated PG.
Damn,
I forgot about that. There's so little edge or sauce in there that it's like, that's weird, man.
Right?
The only other PG superhero movie is fucking Superman the movie, and that's because PG-13 wasn't invented back then. Like, you know what I mean? So, but it definitely, like, there were toys everywhere. Like, Target and Walmart toy sections had an abundance of Fantastic Four action figures. And you know what? The action figures were pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cool stuff coming out, and I remember being so into the Fantastic Four when these were coming out.
The action figures were cool, and for both movies, the video games on PS2 were fucking fun. They were super fun. Janky as hell.
They had video games?
Yep, both of them did. They had PS2 video
Yeah.
games. I think Fantastic Four Rise of Silver Surfer also had a PS3 version. In the first game,
Right.
it's like, you get sprinklings of like, the storyline of the film throughout, but then the whole middle section where it's just blah, 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 back and forth drama, they're replaced with you fighting different Fantastic Four villains. So the first villain they fight when they come back from their space station and they escape from like the little like spa facility or whatever they're in, because in the game it's got robots or whatever, they escape and then they end up fighting like Mole Man and his monster in the next level, and each level is like a new character from the Fantastic Four mythology. It's great. It's so much fun. They're janky, but they're so much fun. So, and you can play full player co-op. So
that's as the audience is well aware at this point, that's a certified gold star in our book when it comes to heroic effort. So 1 point in favor of this movie. 1 point
in favor of this film's video game adaptation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, just very clear.
Well, let's dive into the cast, because I do think this is not a completely solid cast. I don't think any of these people, besides Michael Chiklis, actually fits the roles perfectly, but I think they all are doing the best they can with what they have. But we might as well start off with the certified all-star of these movies, one of the greatest comic book movie castings ever, Michael Chiklis as Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. It will not get better than this. It's so no disrespect to anybody else who's played the character, but this is pitch perfect.
Yeah, you can't 100%. Get much bigger. Yeah, you can't get much better than that. Michael Chiklis as The Thing, as Ben Grimm, is perfect. In every scene he steals, every freaking scene that he is in. I cannot praise his performance enough. He's so freaking great. And he just posted, not to date the episode, but he just posted today about the 20th anniversary about it. And I'm just like, good for you, man. Good for you for still remembering.
He's great as Ben Grimm and as The Thing. I love that part where the cosmic cloud is coming and he's outside, like, doing the experiment or whatever. They're like, Ben, you need to come back. And he's like, I ain't finished putting your flowers out here, egghead. like he's 100% on board. And then he also has some great, like, moments of pathos, too, where the moment that's always stuck with me, and again, I wish they would have had that extended scene that you were talking about, Martin. The moment that's always stuck out to me is when he just goes for a drink at a bar and the stool breaks and everyone laughs at him like they're in high school, and he stands up and he just has that such sorrowful look. He's like, that's not funny. Like, he can't, like, that's like a real human moment. It's like, oh, that's Ben Grimm right there.
Yep,
that's one of my favorite aspects of the Chiklis's performance in these two movies, is that he's able to bring, I think, this perfect balance of, the wisecracking kind of nature of The Thing, that Brooklyn spirit, you know what I mean? But more importantly, the moments of just true, like, vulnerability. You know what I mean? Like, the whole purpose of the blue-eyed ever-loving Thing is that despite his, like, near invincible kind of exterior, like, on the inside he has these, like, just very deep and honestly, like, really fucking heart-wrenching moments, in the comics, but especially in these movies. I think Michael Chiklis brings, like, the perfect energy for these scenes, whether it's like Deb when he first gets back after he's turned to a rock, he's meeting up with his soon-to-be ex-wife, and he's like just skulking the streets, just absolutely fucking ashamed, in like the kind of horror of his situation, to that amazing scene that Andy mentioned in the bar, to just kind of or even in the first film, like despite the fact that it's Victor Von fucking Doom, the fact that he's like willing to extend a hand and like, take whatever lifeline he can get at the slim chance of being normal again, because he's just struggling with it so much in that first film, especially. It's honestly, it's beautiful. Like, I think he really brings where this film lacks so much heart and soul, in many ways. At least we can count on Michael Chiklis's Ben Grimm to really bring whatever emotion this film can squeeze out.
Ben Grimm as a character is always someone who like makes me go like, oh, this superhero universe shit can work, because it's cool whenever Ben Grimm is the one that interacts with the other characters, whether it's Spider-Man, whether it's Hulk. There's a great issue in Immortal Hulk where after Bruce Banner's been on the run for like 40 something issues, he basically just takes it to a little diner and he's just like, all right, like, I'll let you relax, man. And they just have like a little talk, and it's great. It's just shit like that that makes me like that character so much. And it's so cool that he got such a perfect, honestly, perfect adaptation, at least in these movies, because Michael Chiklis does the role so freaking well. And the makeup work is phenomenal, I think. I love the way he looks.
I've seen a lot of criticism of the makeup recently, including some friends of mine who shall remain nameless. Who say like, "Oh, the makeup doesn't look that great. Like you can see where the foam rubber meets the eyes, and like the eyes don't look like they match the thing." Are you kidding me? This looks fantastic. He genuinely looks like if you took a hammer and like tapped him with it, you would hear like it hitting rock. He really looks like an actual rock in this. Like I don't get any sort of criticism. The makeup is the standout.
He looks
It's
like
incredible.
a rock. He looks like he can, hit a car and move it. But at the same time, Chiklis is able to act through it because they give him enough of flexibility in the face, because they let his fucking eyes come through. Because of that, it's what
Yes.
adds to that performance. The fact that he's able to act through all of that makeup is also what makes that makeup work phenomenal.
The makeup
This,
looks incredible.
this is it does.
One would say fantastic, even.
Look
This,
at buddy.
this might be an unpopular opinion though, but I think the makeup for the thing is significantly better in the first film than in the second film. The second film looked a lot more like one piece. It really looks like they simplified it much for Michael Chiklis's comfort, I'm sure, so that he doesn't have to endure this for 18 straight hours. But in Rise of the Silver Surfer, the thing just looks a little bit less real, like a little bit jankier, a little bit,
In
yeah.
the second one, he's like, guys, do we really need to put the makeup on my dick now? Come on. Again, I gotta pee.
I just see where you're coming
Yeah.
from. Like I first of all, I saw both these films back to back right now, in preparation for the episode.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'll have my vengeance one day. Don't you worry about it. But
Yeah.
I think, to real quick echo what you guys are saying, I adore the makeup on this. You, as everybody knows, here, at No More Talking / Heroic Efforts, we're hoes for some good, makeup and VFX, work and any kind of practical effects. And this was really tingling my jimmies when I was watching it, because it just looks so good, dude. Like, it looks fantastic. I don't, no pun intended. I don't know how people can hate on it, to be honest with you. Like, that criticism, it keeps, shut the fuck up, nerd. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, it looks great. It looks so good on him. I love the choices for the coloration. Like Andy said, it looks so grounded. It really like it. Again, the magic of Michael Chiklis. He's the only one that really looks like he's a part of this world, and he's the most outlandish looking out of all of them. Everybody else is a little too pristine. We'll get to my girl Alba in a minute, but like it's specifically, he's the only one that looks like he actually fits, because the makeup kicks so much ass, dude. Now I disagree slightly in it looking bad, worse in the second one. That's totally fine. I just don't agree with that necessarily, because I think that he still looks good. He still fits perfectly for it, and I love how emotive he is. He even seems like he's a little bit more emotive in the second one. You get those pearly whites a little bit more. I will say this: as much as I am glazing the costume design, and it looks fantastic. Shout out to the makeup artists and the VFX artists on this, because they absolutely knocked out of the park. I promise you, it is the most iconic thing about these two films. That being said, I love how it looks. I've always been a sucker though for like the comic designs of the thing. I like when he looks like a Muppet and he's square shaped. That's just me. So that it doesn't look anything really like the comics, in terms of like, he doesn't have that thick brow, he doesn't have the Muppet kind of mouth, and the nose. It's obviously it's very prominent in this one, which looks great. I'm not hating on it. I just would like to see this same level of like love and attention in the costume design, but be applied, and see if that can work for the more comic book Muppet design.
Well, the thing I think about that is I love how this version incorporates a lot of the early Kirby design, where, if anybody remembers, the Thing, as we imagine him in the comics, looks way different in those early Lee and Kirby, Kirby and Lee issues. Because he very much has that weird kind of smooth. Again, I was talking with one of my buddies about this, and he was saying it almost was as if they were trying to make him scaly in those early comics, as opposed to like Rock. So I like that he has that sort of more like looking head, because that's right out of those like first 12, that first year, Fantastic Four issues. Also, shout out to everyone you mentioned already, like the makeup designer, Michael Chiklis. Also, shout out to the sound designer and whoever picked the Foley for these, because that adds to the costume a lot. When he's picking up that ring, and you hear his fingers scraping the pavement. Also, side note, does Laurie Holden only play like the most unlikable characters you've ever seen in your entire life? Because between Andrea and The Walking Dead and this, you get just irritated just looking at her. And I'm sure she's a very lovely lady, but like, does she just play the most like selfish human being?
Very one note, just selfish. I'm gonna leave you because you're a rock man now.
Yeah, exactly.
Real quick, her running in the middle of the night in fucking Brooklyn, just like running across the street in her fucking lingerie when she first meets up with Ben post rock, form. That weirdly just stood out to me. I was like, whoa, lady, it's fucking. You might be a family out right now. Like, yo, just coming out in your fucking Fenty. Like, god damn, she looks great, but like, damn.
I love the moment preceding that where he tries to call her on the payphone and his fingers are too big for the button.
His big ass phone fingers just beep, beep, beep. I love that. Like you said, the sound design fucking kills it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, the sound design is a big part of what makes this character work, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm much less of a stickler for his look. I just think personally he looks great. I like
no doubt
that they went with this one. I do understand, Nick, where you're coming from, though, and I do at least appreciate that. At least in the new one, you'll get something more similar, like how we envision the Thing now. But I do agree with Andy in the sense of like, this is definitely like probably taking the easier route of making him look a little bit more like how he did the first year, because that's just easier to accomplish when you have an actual human body as your base and not CG.
And let me be clear, I think it was the right choice. I think it was the right choice.
Yes. Again, this is the price you have to pay if you're going to have a physical human playing this character in makeup, because otherwise you would have to have Michael Chiklis on stilts and with 70 or 80 pounds of foam rubber on his shoulders to try and portray the Thing as he's typically drawn. It's very much the same thing with the Hulk, where if you're going to have some human being play the Hulk, it's gonna be Lou Ferrigno, and the best you can do is make him look maybe 8 feet tall. Right. You can't really do that like Liam Sharp, just shredded giant Hulk. If you have a human being play it. So that's sort of
on stilt arms and everything, but like it's clovering time. That just kills me.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, I'm glad they went with this choice to everything the boys have been saying. When you're gonna have like a real physical actor, and it's again. I'm not hating on it. It was the right choice to make. It looks fantastic. Again, sorry to make the puns.
God, it looks. Time we've all said that.
I know it looks amazing, and also, I can't stop glazing at the fact that they went with, and this might just be a practicality thing for the time and the technology, but like the fact that they went with actual prosthetic makeup instead of making him like a Hulk, like a CGI thing. Excellent choice. Just. Chef kiss. So glad that they pulled the trigger on that decision, because it is stood the test of time, and it's the reason why, again, he is the most iconic part of these films, without a doubt.
Yes, you would not get that human emotion, particularly in this era, because if you think about it, what's the other big CGI character from this same year? It's Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Oh.
No, I was going to say it's 2005.
Okay, 2005. Yeah, King Kong. And could you imagine? Yeah, trying to do that.
But King Kong looks great, but that's because you have Peter Jackson and the Lord of the Rings team and Andy Serkis making that work. Not to shit too much on the special effects, but just look at how the special effects of these two movies hold up, and then imagine them trying to do a fully CGI speaking character like mocap. It just wouldn't work.
Going under the door gives me nightmares.
Yeah, that shit was good. I was like, ew.
But before we get to the weaker half of this cast, we need to talk about the second best part of these movies, which is Chris Evans as the Human Torch, which I
Great.
think is so much better than he has any right to be. There's some real humanity in this guy. I really like the way that Chris plays him. I say Chris as if he's my personal friend, but like I really love the way that he plays him, and he is so much less obnoxious than you would expect.
Yeah, weirdly.
You know, I
Yeah.
really enjoy his performance as Johnny Storm, as Human Torch. I was fully expecting, and I thought on my rewatch of this, I would honestly despise him, but no, I thought he was
Same.
great. I thought he knocked it out of the park. He did exactly. I'm like, yeah, no, that's Johnny Storm. It's exactly how he should be. I love that he's got that charm to him. He's got kind of that dumb frat boy thing, but you could tell there is an actual heart of gold, and he's not just a weird, misogynistic douchebag. He is actually like a considerate guy. He just likes to have sex. So,
Well, they have that great part where they all first see Ben Grimm on the bridge, and Chris Evans gives the best reaction, probably because he's doing the most out of his whole cast. But that look of actual concern on his face, where there's no joking, because obviously in the comics and in the films, Johnny Storm puts up the barrier of being a jackass to have to not deal with like real human emotions, or very much like all teenagers and young adults do. But there's not even a veneer of his fake personality when he first sees Ben. That look he gives of like, oh my God, is perfect. So good.
that's great. And he's got the best snowboarding sequence of any of these 2000s era movies. That was a pretty
Yeah,
great.
you know-
Flames on for the first time. That's a pretty great sequence. And the ending of it does get a chuckle out of me.
Yeah, when he ends up in like a hot tub situation.
And then you get
I
shot
look
under the legs, and you just see the ski things go down.
very, very 2000s, which is the trend. Is will go on.
Yeah, is that the one time Maria Menounos has actually acted in anything? Or like did she just go
Movie
straight
goddess
into
herself.
introducing AMC movie? Yeah,
Hey.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. She's a queen always and
That's
forever.
right. That's right.
Yeah. You think Maria
yeah.
Menounos looks at all the love that Nicole Kidman's getting right now from those AMC ads and is like, motherfuckers, I've been doing this for 20 years, telling you about the new A&E shows and telling you about the behind the scenes, and you haven't once given me my credit.
Hey, that's not true, because I'm defending Maria Menounos all the time. Like, fuck having 30-minute ads before the movies nowadays. That being said, when I don't see my girl on the screen, I get pissed. I'm like, get this jabroni shit out of, get this fucking Eminem. If I see that stupid ass Sprite commercial or not Sprite commercial one more time, I'm gonna have a fucking crash
to
out.
fucking see the goddamn iPhone and Google phone commercial one more fucking time.
Get this
If I have
shit
to
out of
see,
here.
because I have A-list. If I have to fucking see the dude dancing and then going into the car chase and then going into the romance movie when he drinks a Coke, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody.
Put Maria
It
back on
takes
there, goddamn it.
forever. Yeah, it takes forever to get through that stupid thing just to reveal he's on a date drinking Coke at the movies. Big shit.
But to get back to the film real quick, I think Chris Evans' performance, again, like Marty has said, shockingly not as obnoxious as you would think. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that, like, with respect to Mr. Evans, kind of not the best, run of movies as of late. And he's done kind of similar energy characters in recent memory, and it's been pretty bad. That being said, I think it's worth noting. I think Chris Evans is a genuinely good actor. Especially like leading up from I think this movie and like kind of onward up until like the second half of the first couple waves of MCU films. He's a really good actor, and I think this is a good showcase of
I
that.
thought his performance as Joe Biden at the end of Avengers Endgame was really good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate. Yeah.
No, I don't think I will.
Mr.
You mean
Biden,
step down in time?
Mr. Biden, can you please stop the genocide? No, I don't think I will.
I don't think I will.
But yeah, I think yeah, I think that Chris Evans, Johnny Storm, I think he does a good job of balancing that kind of Devil May Cry, borderline, or even just outright douchey, exterior with moments of like, kind of vulnerability. I loved his scenes with him and Ben in the second film when they're just kind of having that really candid moment where he's like, up until that point in the film, very clearly jealous of Ben and Alicia, and then they have that moment where he's just kind of like talking with them as bros, and he has like a real heart to heart, and I think he was able to kind of shine in that moment.
I just want to specify that Nick meant to say Devil May Care, not Devil May Cry. That is another thing entirely.
Oh, yeah.
Although Chris Evans as Dante is very 2000s casting.
That would have been, honestly, that would have been kind of peak.
Speaking of 2000s, how amazing is it that he doesn't have frosted tips?
I know.
Yeah.
Especially in the 2005 one. His look has actually aged quite well.
Yeah, I like his dark blonde fade. Honestly, he's got that Chet Hank thing going on. Like I half expect him to be rocking a Cuban link, saying Wagwan or some shit.
Well, this definitely was a white boy summer. When this movie came out. When these movies came out, it was definitely a white boy summer.
Between the BMX, the snowboarding, and just banging every woman in like a 50-mile radius, it was 100% a white boy summer.
Yeah. There's that great moment in the first one where they just stop and the guy's trying to race him and he melts his rims.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. There's great little moments of like fun in here, and if we want to talk about just that for a moment, I feel like I see why these scripts got approved. It's because studio executives are reading something like that, or something like the BMX scene, or something like any other of the like sort of the visual gags they do with these powers, and studio executives read that and were like, oh, this is going to look great on screen. Yeah. Never mind that the character work is flat and bland, but there are great little moments of levity throughout all of these movies. I mean, these movies are basically comedies. I'm not saying they're that funny, but like they're basically comedy movies.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, 100%. Tonally, they're more similar to comedies. I definitely would get what you mean, though, where it is very like these scripts feel very executive driven, where it's like you need to you gotta have another gag with Human Torch. People love Human Torch. He's gonna be the cool teenage character that all the kids are gonna love. We're gonna make so much money off of this, and it doesn't feel like, oh well, how does that service the character? Who gives a fuck? Let's just fucking get to the next sequence.
Don't matter. Let me see Jessica Alba's tits one more time, huh? Let's do it again.
She has to get naked to get invisible, right?
The kids are gonna get a crack out of this one, I tell you.
Well, we should move on to Jessica Alba then, because it's weird because when people refer to these movies, they always say, oh, the Jessica Alba Fantastic Fours. Yeah. And I don't think she's really the star of these. I mean, she's probably the most famous person in these at the time, but they certainly are not her movies. No. The Invisible Woman has nothing to do in these. Yeah. I think it really is. It's just such phenomenal bad casting. And no disrespect to Miss Alba, but it's such phenomenally bad casting that that's what sticks out in people's minds about these movies, is her just sort of, and it's not even totally her fault. Like there are stories of like Tim's story telling her that her crying was too like realistic and she needed to like cry prettier and stuff like that. She's clearly an object in these movies. Like the filmmakers are clearly making her an object in these movies. It's not totally her fault, but what's on screen is what matters, and there's nothing on screen.
It's basically she's just a serviceable existing character to move the plot forward if needed. She's there to look pretty. That's really all she's given to do. And I do think Jessica Alba is capable of good performances. I thought she was great in the Sin City movie. I really enjoyed her performance there. But she gets 100%. Nothing to do in these movies. Both times she's just arm candy or get naked so you can turn invisible and, have some kind of conflict between to somehow give a tangible reason for why Victor Von Doom hates Reed Richards in this movie where I don't think they grew up together or whatever. And he's just like, no, I want to fuck her. No, I want to fuck her. So
it's really unfortunate because, like you guys have been saying, first and foremost, like Jessica Alba, forever a dime, right? Just a beautiful, beautiful, stunning woman. But I don't think that she should have been relegated to just be that, to just rely on her looks. I mean, the fact that Andy just said right now that she had to be told to tone down her like crying performance, that's insane to me. Because you know,
Act worse.
the poor, yeah, I'm like, the poor woman like really could give a much better performance. So I really don't lay the blame at her feet too much. This is such a strange casting choice. But I feel like any woman in this role just would have been shortchanged the exact same way. They would have been just objectified to be either just eye candy, a visual gag, or to be a vehicle for Reed Richards, you know, to service another male character like Marty had mentioned, rather than her being her own thing. Even though they try to leverage like the emotional plot of, in the first film, it's her and Reed, a relationship of will they won't they get back together. The second one is their marriage, but outside of like select scenes, that really goes by the wayside, and we don't really get to have her do much outside of that, and that's really unfortunate. The other thing, though, this is strike number 2. I told you to get back to this. Yet more Yakubian technology. Because how dare these white devils try to make my beautiful Latin queen, my beautiful Latina queen, try to make her a blonde, blue-eyed white woman. They have tried so hard.
Yeah, they put her in whiteface. It's pretty funny.
It looks like white chicks.
Yeah,
it really looks like white chicks.
Her fucking blue like fake contact lenses, and then they'll do like a little like blue makeup on her like eyeshadow to like really emphasize it. I'm like, what have you done to my queen? what the hell?
I mean, look, obviously the Invisible Woman has to be blonde, right? Sue Storm is blonde, but just have her look like Jessica Alba and make her blonde. Like, you don't need her to have blue eyes.
Yeah,
it's
very distracting.
Or just put a wig on her, like we did with Kate. Was it not Kate Moss? No, that's not her name.
Kate Mara.
Kate Mara. Just put a wig on her that we can all tell is a wig.
Go down to Party City and buy the cheapest wig.
Exactly, buy the cheapest wig you can get. Just smack it on her head. You're good to go. Don't put the freakish blue contacts in her face. Don't put white face makeup on her. It's bizarre. It's something I didn't really notice because I didn't really know who Jessica Alba was when I was 10. But you know, growing up and then getting out. and seeing her in more movies like Sin City, which I think came out the same year as the first Fantastic Four movie, actually, come to think of it.
I believe so, yes.
And I was like, I guess they like brown, they painted her skin brown in Sin City. I'm like, oh no, it's...
You thought she was doing brown face?
I did.
You thought she was like Eli Wallach in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
That sounded like way more tangible for that time period than them making her white-faced in Fantastic Four.
I'm telling you again, it's the technology.
Yeah, and much like The Thing, the white face is a lot worse in Rise of the Silver Surfer.
It's a lot stronger, yeah.
They, in fact, the technology goes so deep. They somehow made her like do white face in these films. And the second one in particular, she's doing super white face, and then she does a white woman. She does a Latina woman playing a white woman playing a Japanese woman at the very end. You know what I mean? What the fuck is going on here? Very disturbing. Very disturbing.
That's an actor right there. And I think coming to that conclusion, we have to talk about the last member of the Fantastic Four that we have not talked about, Mr. Fantastic himself. I always thought it was pronounced Eoin Grufford, but now that I see it spelled out, I'm like, oh no, it's spelled Eoin Gruffud, like Elmer Fudd, which is a very unfortunate ending to your last name. I like him. I like him a lot.
I like him too.
Fun.
I think he's fun.
He's very much like Jessica Alba, where he would be much better if he was given anything to do.
Yes.
Like, there's not a single thing for Reed Richards to do besides talk like this and really give people moral lessons and be, well, you know that you could do this if you really tried and believed in yourself. You know, if he had any... Okay, like, I before we got on, I was talking about how I'm rereading the Mark Waid, Mike Riringo Fantastic Four to get ready for the new... for Steps. And there's a moment in the first issue of their run that's great, where he's talking to his daughter about, and I won't go through the whole thing because it's a whole thing, but like, he's talking to his daughter and he's telling her the story of the Fantastic Four. And he says, once upon a time, there was a genius who stops, a very bright man who, and then he looks at the pictures of them as all human beings before the accident, and he goes, once upon a time there was a very arrogant man who did something very stupid, And then he goes into a whole monologue about how his guilt was so unbearable. And then at the very end, he says, because maybe by turning his friends into celebrities, he could be forgiven for taking their normal lives away. Maybe someday. That's Mr. Fantastic right there. Mr. Fantastic in the comics is very often a fucking douchebag. He's a dick. But, like, that monologue right there and the way Mark Waid writes him has made the Mr. Fantastic might be my favorite member of the Fantastic Four, honestly. Because he's so conflicted when you write him well. And in this, it's nothing. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, it is just a guilt thing, and then he just does this. He kind of just exists to explain the science behind everything, the fake science essentially behind everything, and be like, "I'm so sorry, Ben. I'll try and fix you. I'll get the plot moving. I promise." And it's kind of the case in both movies, outside of like the dance sequence, I guess, in the second movie.
Yeah, like
It was.
that's honestly that's my biggest problem with the performance here. Again, much like Jessica Alba, they're just not given very much, which is kind of ironic considering that they're both like, at least the film wants you to think that they're both like the emotional like hinge of these films, because it's like they're the central focus, like their drama, their interpersonal drama is like the main emotional driving force in the film, again according to the film itself, at least. We all know it's actually Ben Grimm, but it's just really unfortunate because I think he's really fun in certain moments. You know, I think he brings that nerdy energy that Reed Richards like should have, and I like those moments when he actually mans up and steps up to the occasion a little bit and takes a little bit of leadership. But for the most part, just like with Jessica Alba, there's just not much there they're able to work with. They're just kind of like wet noodles, you know what I mean? And when you combine that with the meandering pace of these films, it's just like pretty forgettable, you know what I mean? Like, outside of small moments.
He does awkward very well in these movies. Like, it's genuinely really funny when girls are hitting on him or he's talking to the news media or something. He does have two good moments, and they're both with Michael Chiklis. Again, on the bridge where he's like, I promise, with every breath in my body, I will fix this. Like, I believe you. And then nothing happens. But then there's that great moment where he... Go ahead, Nick.
All right, I don't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, like, to that point real quick, like you had mentioned earlier with that an incredible, piece from the comic, you don't feel that guilt outside. He has that scene, to your point. He has that great scene with Michael Chiklis, but outside of that, you never feel like he's actually feeling guilty the entire rest of the film. Yeah. At no point outside of those scenes do you ever feel like Reed Richards feels bad about what he's done to the love of his life, her brother, and his best friend. You never really feel that. They don't carry that throughout the film at all. So I just want to make that point real quick.
Like,
sorry.
Oh no, I have to make the woman that I love get naked all the time now. Oh.
He's such a user in these movies too. He's just like so manipulative. I do like the moment where he's arguing with Ben, when Ben is mad at him for like going out on a date with Jessica Alba, and Ben is like, I don't even have a dick anymore, which we would find out in the reboot. He's like, I don't even have a fucking junk anymore. Like, come on, man. But he has that great moment where he's like, look at me. And then Mr. Fantastic is like, I am looking. That's why I'm trying to do this right, so I don't fuck this up even more. You can kind of feel that weight on him a little bit of, oh my god, how much worse could I possibly make this? I like those moments, and he certainly does look exactly like Mr. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I could have done with a little bit. I think I agree completely. I think he looks great. I think I personally would have preferred a little bit more white hair on the sides.
It could always have been worse. They could have given him a mustache. There could always be worse options.
Oh god. That would have been horrible.
That's my little knock against.
It could have been worse.
Pascal's look. I'm sorry.
It could have been worse. They could have had him use his stretchy powers to turn himself into a South American guy. Yeah. Well, we'll get to that when we talk about the Trank film.
I just want to say, I love how that sequence reminds me of like the werewolf transformation in Wolfman, where he's like.
But instead of turning into a werewolf, it's just a different race person.
It'd be great if he turned into like Tim's Story in that sequence.
Yeah, no, so now that we have the Fantastic Four established, we of course have to talk about their one and seemingly only nemesis in these movies, Victor Von Doom, played by the very recently late Julian McMahon.
Yep.
Rest in peace, sir. Fine actor. Seemed like a very nice guy.
You have a better history behind you on television than you were given on film, and I am sorry for that, but you really knocked it out of the park on your shows. Having said that, I think he's a pretty good Doctor Doom in what these movies are trying to be. In the sense of, like, yes, he is hamming it the fuck up. No, you get rid of everything that has to do with his origin, essentially, in these movies. I think he's fine for what these movies are trying to go for. I do agree that he is just ripping off Green Goblin from Spider-Man, though. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's it's 100% like a Willem Dafoe, a cheap copy of Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn, up to and including the part where he kills the doctor who gives him like the diagnosis and stuff. Again, Hamish Linklater.
Yeah. Future Batman, right?
You know.
It's pretty. I like his performance enough, and I think he's a serviceable Doctor Doom for these films. At the same time, again, he's not given anything to do in this movie from after the first 10 minutes until the last 10 minutes of this movie. Everything in between is just, look, he's slowly rotting away and becoming a Tin Man. Isn't that crazy? We're going to stretch this out for
They don't even do any body horror.
No, not at all.
They don't even really do any body
little skin mark right there.
Yeah, I mean, first, just to put my cards on the table, I don't really care for his performance. I agree with Marty, though. I think he works fine given the context of this film and what it is trying to be. I think he fits as a Doctor Doom for this world, but he is not and will never be my Doctor Doom.
It's Toby Kebbell, right?
Yeah, exactly. I will say, though, I did get a kick watching, especially the first film. That they were going for, these guys are gonna know, not me, but there's a specific run of the Fantastic Four where like Doom is like, you know, acting like he's horribly scarred before he like dons the mask, and it's just like a little tiny cut on the side of his face, you know what I mean? And I just couldn't help but think of that story, like this, because he's like, you know, keeps like fucking with his like scar and keeps looking at it and like kind of tripping on like his quote unquote disfigurement, but it's just like this little cut for like most of the film. It's just this little cut, and it's only like near like the last 20 minutes when his face starts to like look more fucked up and everything like that. But I always thought that was funny. It's just like I kind of wish if you know, this film was more, you know, in line with the comics, if they would have just went full bore and just hammed it the fuck up even further. Like I would love to have him just have an existential crisis in the mirror. He just freaking the fuck out. He's like, I'm hideously disfigured, I'm scarred, Richards, you know, and then it's just like this tiny little fucking cut next to his cheek. Like that would have been great.
Well, it's just funny because it's like I don't think we're ever gonna get like a good Doctor Doom on screen like that.
Not from Robert Downey Jr. I'm sorry.
Ship sailed as soon as that casting was announced. It's never happening, boys.
That option went out the window when they canceled Noah Hawley's Doctor Doom movie.
Yep.
God, I mourn the era of Fox where they were just doing whatever because he got some good stuff out of that. But having said that, I think the best on-screen Doctor Doom so far is Julian McMahon. Because, one, his look's pretty good, and two, you're right, he is 100% not Doctor Doom, but what he is this very scene-chewing villain that you would find in any Fast and the Furious movie or any early 2000s action movie. And for what it is, he does a very good, like, grimace. You know, there's so many shots of him going like like with him looking like his bottom teeth are sticking out like Lon Chaney's Wolfman. Like he's like anyway, Jessica Alba, I proposed to you on a space station, but now my dong is made of metal. I wonder what happened to his junk. Do you think it's like just a metal like Ken, all smooth?
He sees like a little sliver of silver and he just starts like peeling it off like no.
Oh my god.
Metal thing sticking out.
He's like, it's 12 inches long, but it's stainless steel.
You have to do that.
I think it's the opposite.
You have to do that. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I think that his dick is probably like permanently on soft, but it's like metal hard. just to like give him the worst of both worlds.
Depressing. Just it has to
No
be,
growth
it has to be
possible.
like, it has to be like Barbosa from the first Pirates of the Caribbean, where he's like, I feel nothing.
Yeah, and the way he has to jack off is he has to like put electrodes on his junk because electricity is the only current that's going to go through that.
That's what sounding is for. He puts down the electric tube just in there to feel anything.
Oh God, Jesus, Jesus.
It gets stuck and he can't get it out. And he's just like, Richards.
Look at me! I am looking. That's why I have to try harder. It's like
I will say though, jokes aside, to get away from the dick jokes for a second, I think he looks. I like his Doom mask. I think he looks cool there. They definitely, obviously, again, not my Doom. But I'm glad that they didn't go too early 2000s with it in terms of the character design and the costume design. Like they didn't completely scrap it. There's hints of like the comic look in there. Like I think his metal mask looks great. I kind of like by the end of it, his fingers and everything look like gauntlets almost because it's like turning into bioorganic metal or whatever. And then I like that his like coat design has like these kind of circular buttons on them and it almost looks like the kind of classic green and gold look that he has. So it's honestly, in terms of them like modernizing and making it quote unquote like grounded in that early 2000s superhero way, they could have done a lot worse. So when he's like fully doomed up, I think it looks all right.
And I do like that at the end of the first movie when his clothes get completely burned away, he just looks like another version of Silver Surfer basically.
Yeah, just a metal guy.
Yeah, or even like Toby Kebbell's Doctor Doom at the end of the
Or he's just
But again, we will get to that when we do our Trank episode, which everybody stay tuned for that one.
The Trank
but since you brought it up, that's a good transition. We also got to talk about the other biggest character in these movies, which is Silver Surfer, as played by Doug Jones and Lawrence Fishburne. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So good. The effects are amazing. The voice is obviously perfect. The design of the face is just the right amount of cold but also emotive.
The eyes.
It just Yes, it looks like the Silver Surfer flew right off of the comic book pages. And I know that's a cliche to say, but it's flawless. You could not do a better Silver Surfer than that. And I wanted to bring this up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I gotta give the film props for like that choice of doing the double combo of Doug Jones with Lawrence Fishburne's like voice. My God, what a fucking power combo, bro! Like, and it was funny because I didn't realize that until I saw the credits of the film because it was really fucking with me because I was like, I know that's Doug Jones. I recognize that Slender Man anywhere. But the voice, I was like, that's not what Doug Jones sounds like, and I know this voice. What is going on? This is too deep and sultry. What is going on? And then I saw like the combo like on the credits, and I was just like, oh shit, they got my boy Lawrence Fishburne to voice this over Doug Jones' like physical performance. Incredible.
It was very confusing when Lawrence Fishburne showed up on set in a giant Silver Surfer onesie, completely painted silver, with a board, and you're just like, no, man, you don't need to be here.
It was real strange to everybody involved, to the cast and crew, when Lawrence Fishburne showed up in silver face, and he was just like, all right, I'm here, I'm ready.
I'm here, my Yakubian friends.
Well, in the summer of 2007, I don't think you guys realized just how much of a hold the character of the Silver Surfer had over me, because this was when I really first discovered that character. I had always heard of him, but when he was in the movie, I wanted to learn more about him, and it was the perfect timing. I absolutely love the look of the character. I love the vague ambiguity of whatever his powers are. He basically just seems to have Dr. Manhattan powers. He's one of those characters where the writers just go, whatever.
In every panel that has his full body, there's literally nothing in the crotch region.
Smooth as a dolphin.
Smooth as Julian McMahon's Dr. Doom.
Exactly. Yeah, I really like this is for, in my opinion, this is like the pitch perfect adaptation on film, at least, of the Silver Surfer. You can't get much better than this. You really can't. Great performance, fantastic visual look that still holds up to this day.
Yeah.
I am blown away by what they were able to accomplish with that character. And I the one thing I do lament from the fact that Rise of the Silver Surfer, a movie I don't like at all, didn't make more money than the first movie, is that because of that they canceled the spin-off with Silver Surfer and Fantastic Four 3. And I would have killed to see that
Yes.
spin-off movie, honestly.
It's very unfortunate because they 100% were setting up a Silver Surfer spinoff, even to the point where his eyes open at the end.
Yeah.
And I remember in 2007, I was like,
And I think they had
Still
talked.
alive!
They had already. I think on the special features for the second one, they were already talking about that they were writing the script for the first, like the first draft of the script for Silver Surfer, and just nothing ever came of it, of course. So,
yeah, well, thanks X-Men Origins Wolverine.
yeah, thanks X-Men Origins for blowing up everything. But I guess
Yeah.
that comes down to, I guess that's when we have to kind of start talking a little bit behind the camera now. I can't believe we've been going for an hour just talking about like the cast and everything, because hey, you kind of have to talk about them. Tim Story is a sauceless director, but he is a very good point the camera, get the thing done. And
Yes.
if people are unaware of what that typically is, typically you have a journeyman filmmaker, which was a much more popular term pre-21st century, I would say, where it's like, you know, a lot of the people that like worked on like the Hammer horror films were kind of journeyman directors, where it's like they don't
Yeah.
really have an overarching visual style that carries over into all of their movies, but they're able to pick up and have a different style per movie that they do. Or, you know, they're able to turn in the film, you know, there's one of my favorite book titles is about one of those Hammer directors, and it basically goes, do you want it good or do you want it by Tuesday? And that's what a journeyman filmmaker typically is like, hey man, like I can get this done for you real fast, on time, on budget. I just won't be able to do it as creatively as you might want it to be. Now, typically, directors like that, you know, we don't see as much. They don't get as much praise, unfortunately, because I'm like, the industry is built on the backbone of those kind of filmmakers who are just like, yeah, I can get this done now. Like, let's just, we have a week to film this. Let's get it fucking done. You see them a lot on TV now, which I think is a good proving ground for those filmmakers. Be like, no, I got some sauce in me. Tim Story is not one of those directors, though. And I think you can see that in all of his movies. It's like, he did it on time. He did it on budget. He got it out. It probably made some money at least, but none of his movies ever seem to have any visual style. So
The action sequences in these movies
those
are
best, yeah.
better than you would expect from a journeyman filmmaker.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's like a lot of these superhero movies do have journeyman filmmakers behind them, and I think a lot of them see it as a proving ground for like, hey, this is what I can do. And I think Tim Story's action in these movies absolutely shines. And I think it's a shame it doesn't seem like he ever did any more action films or films with action in them after this. I think he does fine with the action sequences. I think it's just everything else is just kind of pulling it back a lot more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that goes to my third strike against this movie. Again, yet more Yakubian technology, making my boy out here be sauceless. Come on now. They gave him nothing to work with here. Despite having a Marvel property, I'm gonna put the full blame not on my brother here, not on this good man, but on just everything around him, because the technology, the devil did not want him to win.
On
all right,
executive producer Kevin Feige.
on that white devil Kevin Feige. That's the reason why my man was hamstrung. He said, I don't want no action sequences. Make Jessica Alba a white woman. Do it, Tim.
Well, you know, if you listen to Tim Story's commentaries for these movies, they are pretty interesting because he's more talking about just the process of getting it made than any sort of, I looked at the comics and I blah, 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 and I thought about Ben Grimm as a concept and as what he meant to pop culture. No, he's more talking about, we had like a day and I just put the camera and like, let's go, come on. Like,
I appreciate that. I think that's what
Yeah.
can make me appreciate a filmmaker is like, okay, like you don't have a visual style that you can really carry over, but you were able to be free and honest and be like, hey, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. Like, this is what we had to do to get this movie done.
I can respect that.
He reminds me a lot of like David Nutter, who does all the pilots for like the DC shows. He worked on like the Flash pilot and stuff. Don't both of these movies seem like the first episode of a season?
Sure, I could see that. Absolutely,
Like,
actually.
Fantastic Four 1 seems like a pilot episode that may not have gotten released or something, and you go, oh wow, like they just turned it into a movie. And then Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer again feels like the pilot episode of a second season. Like the first season got 6 episodes and it got popular. This one is where they're putting all the budget in, and this is going to be the 23 episode saga. You know, it just, that's what it feels like to me. Both of these feel like big budget TV episodes. And I'm really not trying to insult them that much, but there's just not a lot to them, which is the problem. For something that's as weird and out there as the Fantastic Four, to just kind of have them walking around a flat, uninteresting New York, I would say the most personality that comes out of these movies is the score, which is actually genuinely great.
Yeah.
That is like an awe-inspiring score.
Yeah, it's pretty good for me. I'm gonna be completely brutally honest with you. Not the most memorable score to me. I just came off of watching both of these films back to back, and the music is definitely good. But it wasn't like I couldn't remember or recall a single track. I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's kind of the only thing that gives any supporting character to the film, because it's like outside of the Fantastic Four and their villains, like you don't care about any of these side characters really. I mean, outside of Alicia Masters, just because great performance, not given enough to do, but great performance. But it's like, you know, you don't really spend any time with the people in the city, you know. You don't really have, you know, these moments that I think can better establish the world around them. So you have to lean on the music a little bit more to set the mood, to set the sequence and everything. So, and I agree with you. I don't particularly like love this score. I think it's very serviceable. It gets the job done, much like Tim Story as a filmmaker does. Gets the job done.
Yeah.
I think where it really shines for me is in the action sequences and stuff, because there's that part on the bridge where the fire truck is about to go over and the thing grabs it and he's pulling it back, and it cuts to the shots of all the people stunned, and it's like dun 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 dun, like it's just really hammering it home. It feels epic, and it feels like it has like a personality to it. And that's, to me, it's, if these movies were more popular, I think that would be a very recognizable theme.
Sure.
But again, it's weird because both of these movies just kind of feel like Sunday afternoon watches, like on FX.
Absolutely.
Like when nobody else can get on Xbox Live in the year 2011, and you're going, all right, well, you know, I played the campaign for Black Ops. I'm kind of tired of it. Let's just see what's on FX. Tim Story's Fantastic Four is halfway through. You're like, you know what? I'm going to drink the rest of my Sam's Club soda and have some frozen pretzels.
Specifically,
and just,
I feel like these are partially inspired by real life events. You know,
I know Fox owns FX. I know Fox owns FX, but Fox made a lot of Sunday afternoon cable TV movies, and they always played on FX.
Because
you know what I mean?
FX has the movies.
FX has the movie.
I don't even know
Absolutely.
the slogan anymore. I just remember that shit.
Yeah. No, and the special effects, we should probably talk about that before we wrap up. The special effects range from serviceable to, oh my god.
From FX to VFX, and these are very fucking X not great. Like these are kind of these effects are real whack.
For how amazing Ben Grimm looks on a physical, practical level, from how beautiful the Silver Surfer looks on a visual level from a CG perspective, everything else tends to look like garbage a lot of the time. And especially in good old Mr. Fantastic stretching abilities, where the skin
that's never looked good.
And even now, even in 2025, they can't make it look good. So fair enough.
It's hard to do because that's born straight out of like a cartoon. I mean that is a power that really only works on
detail on skin and everything.
Yeah, and I think they would be smart, especially in the new movie, to keep him in costume when he stretches a lot, so that way you're seeing fabric stretching and not human skin. But that part where he sticks his fingers underneath the door and then grabs the handle, one, it's gross, as Johnny Storm says, but also it legit looks like previs. It looks like something you'd see on the bonus features. Yeah, you know what I mean?
A lot of the CG in both these movies doesn't look finished. Outside of the character models that they have finished, like Silver Surfer, or Jessica Alba when she goes invisible and you see like an outline or whatever. Everything else looks unfinished, and I'm sure part of that's the budget. I'm sure part of that's just the time. At the time, 2000s, CG was still being tweaked on certain films if you didn't have the budget. Pirates of the Caribbean came out around this time, looked fantastic. They also had like three times the budget of these movies. So you have to look at what you can do, I guess. But again, certain powers don't look good just because they're always going to look odd, and Mr. Fantastic has always been a hard one to do. And I do agree with you, Andy. I think the best way for the new one to go over that is just have his fabric stretch. That's it. Don't do the skin thing, because again, seeing like human skin like that stretch out, and you see like his moles almost stretching, it's just gross. It's uncomfortable to see.
I think, yes, the VFX all is pretty rough. I think we do owe compliment, though, to the Human Torch,
Yes,
who I think looks pretty good most of the time, because it's layers of fire. So you can kind of obscure the fact that it's VFX. And they also keep Chris Evans' face on it, and it doesn't look too goofy when he's talking while he's on fire. Again, there's...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was wrapping up. Go ahead.
Sorry. I just want to jump in to agree with you that I think that he looks as good as he does, with the poor CGI. Much like you said, they layer it, but more importantly, they do smart things like they give him kind of a thermal look with his where like the inside of his like his internal, like, kind of eye socket, mouth, and everything like that has a different glow than like the outside of his skin that's on fire, and then you layer extra fire on top of that, and then you have some pretty decent smoke effects coming off of him. That's where I think it all kind of comes together, but then it falls apart like we've been talking about with Mr. Fantastic, where it just looks goofy, and it doesn't, like, the lighting on it, I think, is what really kills it for me. Especially in that hand scene under the door, is because when his hand does pop up on the other side, it doesn't look like it matches the lighting of that room at all. So it glows almost, and it stands out and just looks really, really like just off-putting, because you're not believing it. Whereas like Johnny, they took the right steps for it to be like, okay, I can, I kind of can get behind it. I can kind of believe it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it's something they're gonna have. It's something that you have to learn, I think, over time. It's just like, hey, certain powers need to be animated in a very specific way, and I do think that's something that newer film has done better, at least from what I've seen in advertisements. And that's something they kind of try to do in Fantastic, by giving him a different kind of suit that had like all the wiring and shit. But it's so distracting. I think
the springy ones,
the springy one, which I don't really mind. I get that it was a way to avoid that, but then you still have sequences where he turns into a South American man. So there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, there's as far as these movies go, there's like the highs are actually pretty high, and you could put them in a better movie and they could work.
And I will say,
lows
their lows are pretty freaking low. But I will say, one of my favorite creative decisions that these movies did, that they also carried over into like the comic books, is I do like that Doctor Doom is directly involved in the accidents that happen, because it happens in these movies, it happens in the Fantastic, it happens in the Ultimate Fantastic Four comics. I like that more because it gives Doctor Doom more of a personal reason to dislike Reed Richards outside of I'm the smarter man than you, suck a dick, basically.
Yeah, I agree.
The only problem with that is that it's hard to rectify the leader of Latveria being involved in this somehow. So I can see why like the mainstream Marvel comics avoid that. But one of my favorite Fantastic Four comics ever is the first 3 volumes of Ultimate Fantastic Four. And it's really good. And I think tying him to them, it's almost like they're fighting a family member, and it makes it more personal. Now, granted, there's tons of different takes on the Fantastic Four. I have got to get on Jonathan Hickman's pretty soon, because I saw that page with the dead Galactus body, and I need that shit in my life. But there's tons of different takes on their relationship throughout the Fantastic Four comics, but it seems like the most popular are either he was part of the experiment, or he's a megalomaniac from Latveria who kind of knew Reed Richards when they were younger. And I think if you found a way to marry those two, you'd have the best version of Doctor Doom.
And then you can give him goat hooves, and then he leads a hobo camp that he mind controls with tattoos. Man, you got to do it that way. You got to do it.
That's kind of awesome, though.
I love that shit. When we talk about the other Fantastic Four movie, I have a fun story about how I was writing a script for a sequel to Fantastic years ago, and it pulls a lot from that. But that'll be time for that story then.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to circle back to Doom real quick. I appreciate that they included a little bit of his Latveria origin in the first film, but I really wish they would have. I really wish any version would actually lean into that, because I feel like that's such an underplayed part of like his character. That's weirdly, it's so central to the comic book, but like they never really bring that up. And I would have honestly, I would have taken anything, even if it's just like an accent.
Don't worry, Nick. I'm sure they'll make his Latveria origin a very important part of the character played by Robert Downey Jr. I'm sure.
Yeah,
Because
I'm sure
do
they'll-
anything else.
I'm sure they'll
probably
put more
will.
technology and get this white man to play a Romani man.
They probably will, because the whole movie's probably going to take place on a soundstage that's supposed to be a Latverian castle.
Absolutely. That they'll do.
Well, I'm calling it.
shoots.
I would also like to point out that Noah Hawley's Doctor Doom movie would have involved like a big dome being put down over Latveria, and it would have been told from the perspective of a journalist who's covering Doctor Doom and is able to follow him around, much the same way certain high-ranking journalists are able to follow around like the president for a day. You know, and it would have been like a journalist reporting on the day in the life of the Latvian leader, and you see Doctor Doom through his eyes. So much better than anything that they've done with him on film. I would like to give one last quick compliment to the special effects. Everything involving the Thing looks great, much
Yes.
like the makeup, because it's all, a lot of it's practical. When he's pulling that fire truck, it's an actual fire truck that they have on a cable. Yeah, and also that awesome shot where the truck is coming at him and it smashes straight into him. What they did was they just put up a giant pole for it to hit. They filmed it and then just added the Thing in there. So that is an actual truck smashing into a pole and being destroyed. It looks great.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
When he's smashing shit, when he's clobbering shit, it looks so good.
Yeah. Ladies, I'm gonna need to borrow your car. Transmission sticks. Not gonna be a problem. They they wanted that for the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still, he has some fun parts in there, like his. Oh, how bad is it? I used to smoke. Or my favorite is when
That
he
was
gets
pretty
out
great.
and all the kids are scared of him, and he's got the trench coat and the hat, and he's like, oh. Don't do drugs, and then everyone kind of like thinks about it, and they're like, "Yeah, that's like funny." And then also when Johnny Storm has the Thing action figure, which is an actual Thing action figure that I had, that was a real one that they sold, and it's like got the little tiny voice. It's like clobbering time, and he just smashes it. That was
Great.
fun. There's some funny moments in this.
Fun moments.
Again, it is
but
a thing
overall-
of movies made of moments, but not overall good movies.
True. Correct.
Yes, and speaking of that, we should probably talk about the reception that it got and how it affected things going forward. I don't think anybody is ever going to consider these significant movies in the history of the genre, no matter how you spin it. Because even profitability-wise, they weren't mega hits. They made a decent chunk of change, and they made enough to warrant a sequel and to warrant at least talks of a third movie. Neither of them were bombs, but they kind of came and went. They probably did pretty well in merchandising. Yeah, I mean, they're not that great of movies, and so the audience obviously just forgot about them when they weren't making them. It is unfortunate because they were talking about Black Panther being in Fantastic Four 3, which I think could have been interesting. I always wanted to see them go up against Namor like they do in the early comics. I always thought that would have been interesting.
See Reed get cucked. I want to see Reed get cucked.
Yeah.
I'm on the other end of the spectrum where I'm like, I just want them to fight the fucking Mole Man.
Yeah, the Mole Man, Annihilus, somebody.
You had more technology, man. They didn't want to have Black Panther in there.
And look, I know apparently Paul Walter Hauser is probably going to be Mole Man in the new movie or whatever, but I know it's just going to be a fucking gag bit. They're not actually fighting him. Fuck off.
They're just gonna do a lesser version of the Underminer ending from Incredibles. But yes, and then also, of course, my lamented canceled spinoff of the Silver Surfer. That's the thing, is like, I think you could have built a pretty decent franchise of movies and then spin-offs with this, because again, Fantastic Four 3, you introduce the Black Panther, then give him his own movie. Fantastic Four Part 4, you introduce Namor and give him his own movie after that. And boom, right there you have 7 movies in this franchise, and just
I agree. I think that would have been a smart way to play it, and I would have killed, dude. Especially like, the audience can't see it, but I just picked up Silver Surfer Black, and it's just badass. From the little glimpse I've read of it, the Tradmore art is just on a whole nother level. So if you would have given me some like psychedelic, and honestly, if they would have went full ham and full bore on it and just make it like a fucking 70s psychedelic, like, science fantasy like film, I think that would have been so badass, dude. I would have really killed for that, but unfortunately Marvel doesn't make real movies, and they'll never do something like that. That being said, I really wish that they had expanded it, like Andy said, with like Namor, and include that conflict there. Like if you want to play the marriage angle card with have conflict between Reed and Sue, I think introducing Namor in there would have been a lot of a more natural and also comic accurate love triangle and messy situation than it would with like the ham-fisted way they try to have Victor in there, to be like, oh, he's shaking things up. Like, no, Namor was like, I'm gonna fuck your wife, dude. You know what I mean?
Here's the fun little facts that would have come about from that time period. Because I'm like, man, if they were able to do Fantastic Four 3, they would have had Black Panther. This was the 2000s when the only actor that was ever really considered for it was Jaimon Hansu, who I think would have kicked ass as the character.
Oh, yeah.
And then
he would have been fantastic.
Because he was the one that was always in talks to be Black Panther. It just never happened. He would have been a great version of it in Fantastic Four 3, and then he gets a spin-off in his own movie. And then if Fantastic Four 4 you get Namor in, well then that means that they have to have an agreement with Universal, and Universal would absolutely have an agreement with fucking Fox before they ever did one with Disney. So they would have been able to have the Hulk eventually fight the Fantastic Four. I guarantee it.
Yeah. No, yeah. And also, just think about how good the Silver Surfer looks, and then imagine what the Black Panther suit would have looked like, made by these same people. It would have been, I think Chadwick Boseman's suit looks pretty good, but imagine like the texture. And also, that's another thing we should mention real quick. I like the Fantastic Four suits in these movies. They look good.
I think they look good.
Pretty cool.
No problems with those suits whatsoever. Absolutely.
At all. But I completely agree with you, brother. I in addition to being just the absolute white devilry to not include Black Panther in the follow-up film, I think it would have been
honestly, because they're like, nah, it's a little too risky for us in the 2000s.
Exactly. But I think that we've been robbed because, like, to Andy's point, it would have been so sick if they would have brought the team that they had on this that was making like the costume designs for Black Panther. Like Andy said, the texture, I think they would have nailed the perfect inky blue look for him. And honestly, I would have been even fine with it if they gave him like his kind of classic cape look, that would have been super sick. Or if they wanted to lean into like the ultimate kind of version of it, where it's still like pretty simple, not all teched out like the newer films are, which again, I think look fine. But I think that I like his classic look the best, where it's like very kind of simple. I wanted to say on that note of the Ultimate Universe, I would have been really interested to have these films popped off and were better, frankly, if they would have went down the route of this being the origin point for like kind of the Marvel explosion. If like they would have went with the ultimate storyline of the first family discovering kind of the thing that kicks off all of the supernatural superpowers and all the alien shit that like they did in the Ultimate comic run. I think that would have been a really, really cool way to actually, if you want to start this universe, like start it with the Fantastic Four, have the first family pull up on whatever artifacts or whatever thing kickstarts like the wave of mutations and powers and all that kind of shit, and then from there have all these spin-offs trickle out from that, and that's how you expand it. I think that would have been a really cool way to kick off the MCU in a different timeline.
Yeah, or just imagine this Fantastic Four teaming up with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and the original X-Men cast and Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Thomas Jane's Punisher is in there pissing everybody off. You know what I mean? And Edward Norton's Hulk.
It would have been different, but I would have probably preferred it, honestly, to what we ended up getting down the road. So,
well, that was another thing that got canceled. Was Fox was planning their own Civil War movie, which would have had the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, and I think like Deadpool. All would have been, and I'm sure they would have brought in like Silver Surfer as well to stuff like that. But like basically all the Fox properties would have gotten together and would have been this big Civil War storyline. And it was also, I mean, it's a little wonky to try and do Civil War with not the entire Marvel roster, but I guess they did it anyway.
Yeah.
But also, it was going to be directed by Paul fucking Greengrass.
Oh, that's right. I
Like,
forgot about
the
that.
Bourne dude. Yeah, Paul Greengrass is a great director who does not get enough credit. And that's a great choice.
I guess what we can say at the end of the day is thanks X-Men Origins Wolverine for fucking everything up.
Yeah. Thank you, CGI Wolverine claws, for fucking ruining everything.
And I have a story with that to quickly close out this episode, I suppose, is the first Fantastic Four movie I saw with my mom. I remember seeing it, had a decent time with it. We both, enjoyed it. Like, oh, that was fun. And then I saw the second one with my dad. I've only ever apologized to my dad for making him take me to a movie 2 times. The first time was Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, because I fucking hated it as a kid, and I still hate it now. The second time only ever in my life I've ever done that was for X-Men Origins Wolverine.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, I had a great experience with Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer because my dad took me to see it. I thought it was fine, as I do now, but I remember he also took me to Frankensons that day, and that's where I got my Ant-Man action figure, which was so cool because it also came with a reprint of Scott Lang's first appearance, and it was that cool, it was those Marvel Legends, I think that's what the line was called, but like his Ant-Man helmet was removable, and it was such... it was such a great day.
I didn't get that in Fantastic Four after that, seeing that movie. My dad just like, we're going home. I'm like, okay. After watching Ghost Rider, he was like, oh, you want to go to a comic shop? Hell yeah. And I got the first issue of Daniel Way's Ghost Rider, which was fucking great, where he fights Satan and escapes hell. Like, fucking great shit. So I have those experiences for sure. Just didn't get that with Fantastic Four, unfortunately.
Well, I think it's pretty natural then that I kind of come in the middle between you two boys, where I saw the first film, I saw the second film, and they were pretty forgettable, just pretty mid. I haven't watched, which is weird because back in the day, funny enough, we had y'all remember when you would have like your family would have the like little like mom van or like whatever like truck your family car was, but sometimes they would trick it out with the TVs in the back, in the back of the headdresses. Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying, like back in the Pimp My Ride days. So my family, we had that for our, I think it was a Ford, but we had that, and one of the DVDs I just kept in rotation, much like Andy's point about like this was always playing on fucking FX. This was always in rotation in our car, just to have like a kind of a background noise, like just to have something playing. I don't remember dick about these films until this rewatch, because I haven't seen them in like almost 20 years. But it's, to me, like my experience with it is much like my experience now. It's fine. It's mid. It's just whatever. I don't hate it. I don't love it in any kind of way. But it's fine. They're two movies for sure.
They're 2 movies for sure.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's the legacy of these movies, is that they just are pretty forgettable. What they are is sort of like the I hate saying it because they're not that bad, but they are kind of just the bottom of the barrel of this era. And that doesn't even mean they're the worst ones, but it's just sort of the ones that settle at the bottom that you kind of forget about, because even the ones that are worse from this time period, some of which we've talked about on the show already, some of which we will talk about, at least have memorable things from them. These like sort of didn't impact anything. They don't have anything super memorable outside of some of the great casting. And they really are just kind of DVDs that you would see on the shelf at your aunt and uncle's house. And you're like, I guess I'll just put this on instead of staring at a blank screen.
And I think I'll leave off with just this one last note, is to this day, and I think even past as we get to July 2025 of this year, when Fantastic Four First Steps comes out, the best version of these characters that has ever been adapted is, of course, Fantastic Four: World's Greatest Heroes, which is the 2000s cartoon, which is miles better than any of these movies. So,
is that the anime one?
Yes.
Oh, dude! Okay, wait. I'm sorry.
It's anime, but whatever.
I know we're trying to wrap it up.
I love that show.
Oh, okay.
I have the DVDs.
You made a face.
No, I did. Because I was singing it. I went like,
Oh, okay. Good
I
elaborate.
it's a theme.
I know we're trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get out of here, but I'm sorry. Like Marty activated me. Like I fucking love that dude. The animated show. I'm not gonna lie. Marvel was cooking back then for the early 2000s when they had like the
Yeah.
anime X-Men, the anime Blade, the anime Fantastic Four, even anime Iron Man. That shit was slapping. Like I remember watching that show, and be like, "Yo, this is so sick."
Oh, yeah.
Because before up until that point, my like impression of the Fantastic Four was low key. I'm like, "Yo, they're kind of lame," because I was going off of the films. But like when I saw the anime, I was like, yo, this show, yo, these people are sick.
I want to say
Yeah.
it is definitely the anime look. I think it was a French Canadian show, like the French Canadian animation studio. I think they're the same ones that did Totally Spies and some other shows at the time. But it has a very unique glossy style to it, and I love
Yes.
their take on the villains. I think they were great. I love their take on all of the four characters. I freaking adore like the fact that, hey, you know, a lot of it's set in the Baxter building, and guess what, there's characters that live in the building with them, that interact with them, that have their own personalities and have a world around them.
I love the design. I love the spray painted 4 on the thing's chest. That's great. To me, it's sort of this pairs very well with X-Men Evolutions and the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes, absolutely.
I know people really love Wolverine and the X-Men. Fine show, but to me, those are kind of the trinity of like my favorite
I agree.
ones.
I agree with you on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are my 3 favorites. So of that era.
I think I'll personally stick with the anime ones that I listed because I don't really care for the X-Men Evolution. But that's neither here nor there. I agree with the overall
Wait,
message,
Spectacular Spider-Man, though. What do you feel?
To be honest with you, I can't even remember that one. Actually really love the '90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Okay.
What was the? I can't even remember the one you're referring to.
It's from 2000.
Spectacular Spider-Man was
2008, 2009.
Yeah.
It was Spectacular,
It is
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Did you never
Spectacular.
watch it?
That's the one that did Venom.
It is quite literally like my
That's the one-
favorite Spider-Man adaptation, next to the Maguire films.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it is literally the best Spider-Man adaptation outside of Raimi's films.
Okay, sorry, I had a quick Google. Okay, yeah, you know what? I do remember this one. I didn't watch it that much, but
It's really good.
I do like the designs, the character designs a lot. It's giving me the Batman energy.
Totally very
Yes.
And the Batman's one of my favorite outside of like the '90s cartoon. It's one of my favorite animated like versions of Batman. I love the character design.
Listen, Nick, go down the rabbit hole a little bit. Rewatch Fantastic Four: World's Greatest Heroes. It's only 26 episodes, and then watch Spectacular Spider-Man, which is also only 26 episodes.
Hell
Best
yeah.
versions. They're fucking phenomenal.
They are.
Yeah, they're fucking phenomenal. And I will just say, yes, Fantastic Four: World's Greatest Heroes is awesome. It is amazing. I love it. It is, in fact, fantastic.
God damn it.
And on that note, we got to get to the theater because Fantastic Four: First Steps is coming out. And,
Boy, howdy.
You know?
It sure is.
yeah,
you
we
wanna
got to
know,
go see that.
If you want to know our thoughts on that film, ladies and gentlemen, then be sure to subscribe to No More Talking Productions and go ahead and follow us on the socials here. As always, you can follow my boy Andy at
@the_super guy on Twitter and Instagram.
and you can follow the fantastic Mr. Martin Fisher
At Only McFisherman on Twitter and Instagram.
and you can follow yours truly at Monte Nix and Nick Talamante on Instagram and Twitter, respectively. But yeah, be sure to keep up with us, folks. Much like with our Superman episode, we're going to do a little mini review episode for Fantastic Four, kind of line up with that. So we hope you tune into that to hear our thoughts, and we hope you stick with us for more heroic efforts in the future as we kick off and continue with season 3. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe. Please go ahead and follow and share the episode with some friends if you think they might be into this. And with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off and, tune in next time for more heroic efforts.
My brain just kind of connected two things, and I'm like, oh my god, Jessica Alba and Whiteface. I'm like, she's just like long legs, basically.
Oh my God. You take that back.